Or am I simply, haha, this is just drama. You made my favorite content creator sad, and I want you to kiss and make up. It's incredibly embarrassing to be this person, especially in this community. Maybe that shit flies in the, Ethan Klein subreddit, but said this in fucking Gaza in 1999. Interesting.
Choose peace rather than confrontation.
Choose peace rather than confrontation, except in cases where we cannot move forward.
Except in cases where we cannot proceed, where we cannot move forward. Then, if the only alternative is violence, we will use violence.
His comments won him applause from leader Yasser Arafat and the assembly.
They clipped Chimp Nelson Mandela saying, I think Israel has the right to exist legally. Yeah, Nelson Mandela in 1999 also said Israel was a fucking state, okay? And in 1999, the settlement project had not escalated to the point that it has, making the two-state solution impossible. My position on this is very clear. I used to be a two-stater myself, and I have a similar attitude to Avi Shlaim, famed Israeli-Iraqi historian Avi Shlaim of the New Historians. And my position is that despite the fact that I initially thought that a two-state solution could be possible, okay, that the Israeli settlement project has created a one state. There is a de facto one state. How do you know all this stuff? Because I fucking read. Okay, sorry. I know I joke about being illiterate, but goddamn, dude. That was always an L take, Hasan. Okay, shut the up. Who cares? Okay, yeah, it's an L take. I know. Sorry. You were born with all the woke and based opinions. What do you want me to do? Okay, we all learn from our mistake. Right now, the reality of the matter is one that Israel defenders refuse to acknowledge, which is that there is one state. There is a de facto one singular state. It is an apartheid state with Bantustans. Okay, Israel as a settler colonial entity has created a de facto singular state. That's why they completely dominate the West Bank, and that's why they completely dominate Gaza. Okay, allowing Gazans to have a crumb of autonomy while controlling all of the trade that goes into the Gaza Strip, while mass surveilling the Gaza Strip every single moment, does not mean that you have given the Palestinians a state. I'll give you the greatest example of why it was never a real state. Because if Gaza was a real state, then the Al-Qassam brigades would be treated as a real standing military. If the West Bank was a real Palestinian state, then the Jenin brigades would be treated as a real standing military. They legally have a right to have a standing military. Why are they considered terrorists by the Israeli state? Why are they consistently killed by the Israeli state? Why is the Palestinian Authority, which is supposed to represent the Palestinian autonomy in their own sovereign land, simply another mechanism of the Israeli security apparatus that also kills Palestinian militancy and also kills Palestinian resistance in the West Bank? You cannot be a state without having no access to the outside world, with no standing military. That you're not a state at that point. You are simply a Bantustan under the control of the Israeli state, this is a reality that Israel refuses to reckon with. Okay? The other thing never touched on is, yes, you can compare Hamas to ANC and IRA, but Hamas is also what the ANC and IRA would have become if it lasted over 70 plus years. Yes, 100%. It is such a ridiculous thing to be like, oh, how dare you compare that to a previous successful revolutionary movement against an regime right now. I mean, if I was there back then, I would be defending the regime in South Africa as well as I'm defending Israel. But, you know, time has passed now, so it's permissible for me to defend the ANC.
Palestinians worship Mandela. Posters bearing his image cover.
How do you combat with, I agree with all this? What do you mean? The question is simple. I say this, either says I agree with all this, then I ask, then why the fuck have you engaged in a mass harassment campaign towards all pro-Palestinian figures that agree with you entirely? You gave me $6,500, which you love, you know, flailing around as though it's indicative of your position on this matter. And yet you have also routinely shit on even the fundraisers that came after that, saying that they were completely inconsequential. They've done nothing, and Kamala Harris will be more consequential on the lives of Palestinians than any number of different fundraisers. He will respond by saying, "You started it, you won't win on this." Yeah, and then I'll say I have an 8-minute compilation of me defending you against all attacks from my community and outside for up until December of 2024. So while you were busy sneak dissing me, I was foolishly defending you, not recognizing all of your opinions. It should be really simple. If you care about Palestinians, then what happened to the man and his wife that his wife kidnapped? If he thinks the West Bank is occupied, why wouldn't he want to know the person's fate or their name? Yeah. Relevant. Something I found interesting while rewatching the debate from yesterday is that Ethan seems to get the difference between justification/endorsement and understanding when it comes to Israel, which is exactly what you always try to clarify regarding Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthi discourse. Surely he'll be able to put the shoe on the other foot. Of course not. He's going to ask who you voted for to get a clip. Yeah, I'm not going to tell him. I'm going to say Joe Brandon firmly. 10 toes down, Joe Brandon.
Listen, we had for a year, we had the Great March of Return, where, you know, Sinwar himself was involved in that. There was Palestinians marching on a regular basis over the course of the year. I don't know how many it was, or 50 or whatever, that were innocent people who went there, and snipers are shooting down unarmed civilians. And so, you know, time and time again, and over the course of the 20 years that I've, my attitude towards Israel's willingness to have peace has changed, and my understanding of it has changed. And I can only imagine how more intense that feeling is to be living in a place that is, you know, functionally like, you know, the Warsaw Ghetto, insofar as, like, you don't have access to resources, you have 50% unemployment that is taking place in terms of the West Bank. I mean, I agree with those characterizations, by the way, Sam, just to say. I would, okay, but I can't imagine that my response wouldn't be to pick up a weapon. Okay. I mean, I don't know. It's not really working out. Well, none of it's working out, is it? I mean, not much at all. Not really much at all. It's called the greatest attack on Israelis in 75 years. The notion of Zionism and the way that Israel is organized as a society is not protecting Jews. Well, it's not protecting Israelis. It's not protecting Jews worldwide. It is, there may have been a time where Zionism had and there were certainly proponents of Zionism in the early 20th century, in the late, perhaps late 19th century, where there was a notion of a multi-ethnic democracy that fell by the wayside. You know, folks like Hannah Arendt and Einstein, you know, left the Zionist Congress, and what it has evolved into is, I think, a nightmare for everyone involved. And so, you know, I don't know how I would react in that type of immiseration, frankly. Well, can I ask you? But again, Ehud Barak said that he would pick up a weapon were he one of them. And he's far closer to the conflict than I am. I'm not saying I don't understand why people pick up weapons, right? So let me ask you this: what do you think about October 7th attack?
Ethan said it is a genocide yesterday, and later was asking Sam what Israel was supposed to do after October 7th. Does he say genocide, but it's justified? Yeah, maybe he has a Benny Morris style take on it. He will ask about the UN sexual on 10/7 report, and he alleges you deny sexuals on 10/7. When you bring up the rapes that the IOF does, when you mention how Ethan denied Palestinian women face systematic, Ethan will likely admit he's wrong and ask you to admit you are wrong. Yeah, except I'm not wrong, because there's only one instance. There's only one instance of sexual that took place, and it was a hostage. And the UN report actually shows that. The UN report in and of itself is like, is so bad that the UN report on that issue is so bad that it does not meet the standard of the other UN report that came from the occupied occupied Palestinian territories, about the 49 pages that documents Israel's systematic rape. And it didn't happen on October 7. And I'm not even saying that there is no that took place. We just don't know. And the reason why we don't know is because Israel never allowed there to be an actual thorough forensic examination, partially because they ruined the evidence. But the reason as to why there is no prosecutions that have been taken place since October 7, and that the Israeli prosecutors themselves have admitted this, is because there is no evidence. No one has come forward. No one has come forward, and there's no evidence. So what? What do? I want, no matter what their background, okay, Israeli, Palestinian, doesn't matter. I treat human beings as human beings. I want there to be justice served. Why the fuck would I defend if there was clear-cut evidence of systematic... And for the record, of course, even if there was clear-cut evidence of systematic directed by Hamas, as implied by the New York Times reporting, as implied by the erroneous New York Times reporting that did not even clear its own editorial standards, as implied by Sheryl Sandberg, who has her own sexual harassment to deal with, obviously, but in that documentary, that bullshit documentary that she put forward, that was just like atrocity propaganda. even if that all of that was real, 100%, which it's not, okay? That I will confidently say is bullshit. But even if it was real, that still wouldn't justify. Like, what are we talking about? What the fuck is this? He always uses that lady that was debunked to not be. Denim says his problem with E, and he was accused of the same thing. Yes, I know. I already covered this before, and people said this was fake. Ex-hostage Mia Shem alleges she was raped by well-known personal trainer. Yeah. 23-year-old released in the first days of, says, 23-year-old released in the first day says Tel Aviv coach, whose name is under gag order, drugged and raped her in March. Suspect insists he's innocent. Anyway. Yes. Did you see that one of the key witnesses of the sexual assault on October 7th was outed as a fraud? His name is Rami Davidian, and he was cited on the UN report, which was not investigative, and on Sheryl Sandberg's documentary. Yes, I do know that. Mia Shem, an Israeli hostage, now officially confirmed that she was raped by an Israeli trainer, but it doesn't matter to Ethan and won't bring it up because it can't be used to justify genocide. Also, Hila one day ago donated to that Oreo dude who has a show called The Ultimate Rape Show or something like that. What the fuck? The Ultimate Rape Show? What the fuck is that? Ultimate Rape Review. Wait, wasn't that Sex Pestini's thing as well? He used to do that too. You don't belong to Turkey. You don't deserve to be Turk. Delete that on your biography. You don't have a right to write Turkish in your biography. You don't even talk about what's happening in Turkey and all of those in jail students. Do you see what I write? I don't think you get politics. I do talk about that. I don't know why you fucking think I don't. What's Hasan's nationality? Since you don't want to talk about stuff in Turkey, dictatorship in jail, and in jail students, dumbass. Their show is ranking rape accusations more or less. Is so fucking gross. Yeah, I say I enjoyed a chocolate baklava one time, and the Turks fucking come in here and start talking about how I'm not a real Turk. At this stage, it was decided that I should attend the conference of the Pan-African Freedom Movement for Central, East, and Southern Africa, which was also to be held in early 1962 in Addis Ababa. And because of our need for preparation, it was also decided that after the conference, I would undertake a tour of the African states with a view of the obtaining facilities for the training of soldiers, and that I would also solicit scholarships for the higher education of matriculated Africans. Training in both fields would be necessary, even if changes come about by peaceful means. Administrators would be necessary who would be willing and able to administer a non-racial state, and so would men be necessary to control the army and police force of such a state. I started to make a study of the art of war and revolution, and whilst abroad, underwent a course in military training. If there was to be guerrilla warfare, I wanted to be able to stand and fight with my people and to share the hazards of war with them. Notes of lectures, which I received in Algeria. By the way, this is his testimony. In his testimony as to why he was criminally charged, by the way, he's like admitting. Either might have kind of a terminal gamer brain where some people are truly cannot accept that there's no winning choice for a group in the real world. The notion that if Kamala was the president, situation would be better, or if Hamas didn't exist, the Palestinians would live a flourishing nation without attacks from Israel. These are the kinds of delusions people convince themselves was just one choice away. Yeah, if Palestinians would be living in a fucking better society before Hamas existed, they would have lived in a society that never actually created Hamas, ironically enough. So that is a silly notion. Hamas is born out of the lack of options that the Palestinians had. You can have purely idealistic notions of how peace would have actually been possible, but at the end of the day, you're talking about a country that assassinated the one guy who was also ruthless in and of himself, the prime minister that actually kickstarted the peace negotiations process. The guys that actually called for his assassination, Benjamin Netanyahu and Itamar Ben-Gvir, are now running the fucking country. What are we talking about? Not testimony, quote from autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom. Oh, he's talking about his testimony where he was avoiding the death penalty. This is, no, I mean, I don't know if this is from his autobiography or if this is from the testimony in the court proceedings, but it doesn't matter because he did do this, okay? Anyone who says he did not do this, he didn't go to Algeria to specifically get guerrilla training is wrong about the history. But of course, it doesn't matter that this fucking dipshit is wrong about the history because all that matters is defending Israel, seemingly. Or not even defending Israel, but like defending Ethan Klein. South Africa's government today, which is run by Mandela's resistance, have backed Hamas since the morning of October 7, 2023. What exactly do you think this proves? Do you think the ANC is channeling Mandela from the grave? God, you guys are so fucking dense. No, Mandela himself has channeled militant resistance against the state of Israel that he declared an apartheid. The fuck is this guy talking about? Oh my God. This does not make any sense. This is so stupid because this guy is supposed to be the history understander. And it seems like he doesn't understand any history. You are the worst person, and I'm pro-Palestine. Explain your position right now. Go ahead. Why? Let me guess. Let me explain it for you. You defend terror groups. Palestinians are supposed to just sit there and eat it for 76 fucking years and then slowly die away so we can do a land acknowledgement and feel bad about it. It's, God forbid, someone tries to resist militarily against the apartheid state that is doing mass rapes and ethnic cleansing campaigns for 76 fucking years and conducting an apartheid that has systematically destroyed all Palestinian livelihood in the West Bank against international law, but while simultaneously being armed and funded and defended by the most powerful nation on the planet, right? That's what you're going to say? Just like the Lebanese population is supposed to eat it as well. Because when Israel says, I want your territory, you just have to sit there and go, yes, sir, please kill me, kill my children, kill my whole family, destroy my infrastructure, do the Dahiyya doctrine on everything that I know. Otherwise, fighting against that sort of thing would be considered anti-Semitic. God forbid. Some fucking loser dipshit in Iowa is going to call me anti-Semitic 35 years later, long after I've been killed. The fuck do you mean? Oh, this was another good part where Sam brought up that Ehud Barak said that he would be a part of Hamas. And it's not just Ehud Barak. The leader of the Shin Bet has said the same thing. Like many Israeli politicians have openly admitted that, yes, if they lived on the other side of the fucking Gaza boundary that Israel put there and militarily dominates the lives of Palestinians, they would be a part of the fucking whatever militancy that formed.
Sort of feel, I guess, ultimately probably like Ehud Barak when he said that were I Palestinian and I was living in Gaza, that it would be likely that I would join Hamas. I sort of feel...
Yeah. Lebanese have already dealt with enough from Israel in times past as well. The genocide of the Canaanites. Base Barak, base Sam Cedar. The irony is Hamas would throw him off a building for his lifestyle choices. That's ISIS you're thinking of, and Israel supports them. Oh, such a great way to neuter that argument. Lol, of course he hasn't watched the video Ethan made on him yet. Coward energy. I mean, people call CPS on him, so yeah, Ethan needs to defend himself. You seem scared for tomorrow, bro. Did you watch the video he made about you yet? Lol, of course he hasn't watched the video Ethan made about him yet. Coward energy. Dude, please, at least try to present yourself as someone, who understands politics. Please. I have nothing to do with the CPS being called on Ethan. I don't know who the fuck called CPS on Ethan. I don't think it's an appropriate thing to do anyway. I very quickly was like, I don't fucking think this is appropriate at all. Okay? I don't know why you literally think that I am responsible for this, okay? If Ethan slips and falls tomorrow and says Hasan is the reason he actually pissed in front of me, you're gonna believe it. Like, this is insane. What the fuck? It's like everything in his life that's going wrong is me, according to him. And his fucking fan base are so delusional. They do not even want to entertain a political disagreement here. They just simply are like, why don't you watch the drama video by the guy who doesn't know anything? By the guy who did a fucking... You seem scared, Hasan, is so funny, I know. By the guy who literally was like, hey, I don't know anything about politics, but I would like to broach the subject matter. Can you please teach me? Let's do a fucking political podcast together. For 2 goddamn years, we did that. And then he turned around and was like, he was lying to me. He groomed me, a 40-year-old man. He actually secretly had radical associations. He was secretly red pilling. I said that because you said he only cares about defending himself. He has reason to. Then fucking defend yourself against that. What the fuck do I have to do with that, dumbass? See, notice how you haven't actually put 2 and 2 together? You're just simply fucking repeating what he said. God damn, his audience is so stupid to fucking deal with. And the video on you was about your politics, bro. Watch it. Triggered. Oh my God. Yes, your stupidity is so offensive to me, okay? You got me. You are behaving in such an idiotic manner that I get sad because I assume that normal adult human beings would be able to demonstrate basic competence in this situation instead of just behaving like fucking bots. Ethan, by the way, ironically, notice what I said about the chatters, the Ethan Kleinists. This is a very unique type of Ethan Klein Zionism. Ethan has a right to defend himself. Okay. It's like when Israel says Israel has a right to defend itself. Remember the Holocaust happened. It's like, why are you killing Palestinians? Ethan has a right to defend itself. Remember the CPS call happened. Why are you yelling at me over it? I didn't do it. I don't think it's appropriate. You're shaking in the fear of the incredible intellect of the Vape Nation guy. I know. So Hamas fighting back is inevitable, but it's terrorism because innocent people. I can kind of see how that would be misunderstood because you saying that they would fight back naturally is kind of a vague or easy to be understood. Wait, what do you mean? There's no misunderstanding here. Okay. And also, I don't think a lot of people have actually paid attention to my commentary on this because after October 7, every single act that the Palestinian militancy has engaged in is perfectly justifiable against the Israeli military that is illegally occupying and doing a genocide in Gaza. So I don't even have an issue with what Hamas or the Palestinian Islamic Jihad has done since. Okay? Like, what do you mean? It is literally their legal right, if not their legal responsibility, to defend the Gaza Strip from a belligerent occupier. Israel is illegally blowing up the entirety of the Gaza Strip. Not only is it illegal because it's genocide, even if it wasn't genocide, the previous sieges that maybe you didn't want to consider genocide would still be illegal by Israel. Israel, as a belligerent occupier, has no legal right to blow up the Gaza Strip. It's going to be okay, everyone. Do you think you will end the debate as enemies or lovers? You're an insect. But sometimes I do wish I had your brain capacity because you probably go about your day-to-day so happy. You have an insect's brain. Okay? Straight up, like a little bug. Like, this is the takeaway here. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't even make sense within the Kleinist, the Ethan Kleinist Zionist perspective. Okay, I am the most dangerous anti-Semite, a radical anti-Semite that is creating a legion of Islamist terrorists, but also simultaneously, lol, it's just drama. Which is it? Which is it? Am I a fucking radical, rabid anti-Semite that is creating anti-American sentiment in the core, in the heart of Americans? Or am I simply, haha, this is just drama. You made my favorite content creator sad, and I want you to kiss and make up. It's incredibly embarrassing to be this person, especially in this community. Maybe that shit flies in the fucking, Ethan Klein subreddit, but if you think Klein tries to reverse Sam Cedar with Loserbox, then bring up the fact that Loserbox went on a West Bank tour with a right-wing settlement activist and a Kahanas Party supporter, Yishai Fleischer. No, I don't care. I can fucking deal with Loserbox, Bonerbox easily. That's not a problem. Like, that's not going to be a real Sam Cedar moment. I think it'd be persuasive if you ask him questions that you know the answer to, especially about foreign policy and what is legally permissible regarding the harassment he's done in retaliation and what Israel is doing in terms of defending itself. Yes. Honest question, what's your hope after tomorrow? No matter what happens, even if Ethan Klein leaves, even if Ethan Klein leaves crying after the conversation that takes place tomorrow, then the dynamic is going to be from all of the Nicholas Eat Oreos and the fucking Keemstar adjacent drama slop tubers will be Hasan is a meanie bobini. I waited 10 minutes for that comment. I wish you would have waited another 10 minutes to come up with a response to what I said to you, but I guess not. That's expecting too much. He is going to, they're going to say Hasan is a meanie bobini, just like they did last time I had a fucking conversation with Ethan. Okay. Best case tomorrow is Ethan says he was wrong, recognizes why he was wrong, apologizes for the harm he has done to so many other content creators that he erroneously and falsely smeared as anti-Semites, that he harassed endlessly over the course of the past year, and admits the wrongdoing. And who knows? And even after that, plenty of people are still going to despise him. So he's not going to fucking do that. So a good simple-minded comparison for the hogs is stand your ground laws. If a random person came to your house, yes. I used to be on Ethan's side of things, but after the Settlers documentary, it's really hard to justify anything that is happening given the circumstances. See, bro, this is what I mean. Every day, this is why I keep repeating the same shit over and over again. Many of you get annoyed. Many of you say, fuck you, Hasan. Why do you keep repeating yourself over and over and over and over again? It's because every single day there's a new person that goes, okay, you know what? This was my fucking limit. That's why I do what I fucking do. Because the truth is still the truth. You can just keep smearing every single person and try to like laser in on something that I've said that comes across as an offhanded remark that might be considered anti-Semitic in an isolated incident, or I'm trying to talk about the totality of this person. If you want to talk about the totality of my person, look for the past 10 years of me fucking actively fighting against anti-Semites, talking about dog whistles, explaining to my chatters, my community, what dog whistles are. how to identify them. It's fucking ridiculous. But this is why I repeat what I repeat every single day, because the truth is still the fucking truth, okay? And slowly but surely, people wake up to that reality no matter what. Because at the end of the day, there's only so much unlimited baby murder and land grabs that people will take on. He is unwell. He will quit YouTube in a matter of a year or two, at least the daily podcast. I don't think he will. I think he's going to move on to a fucking next drama. But for those of you who are wondering what will most likely happen in the aftermath of all this, okay, he's not going to stop. He's just going to clip shit from that conversation that he thinks makes him look good, and he will continue doing drama over and over again, and he will continue trying to get me deplatformed until he moves on to the next thing. That's it. Tomorrow, Ethan will be ABC, and you will be in Trump's seat. I know, chatters. I know. Anyway, had someone send me a comment that Sam and E really did agree on the big stuff yesterday. They did not, so I rewatched the debate and made notes at every point made. Here's how it played out. 90% of the conversation is E expressing his opinions and asking Sam his 2 cents. Points that E made that Sam disagreed with are follows. Disagreements. Israeli people are still victims of the victims in the context of the Palestinian genocide. American Jews are still victims in the context of the Palestinian genocide. Israeli people don't have emotional resources available to be able to realize the gravity of what's happening. It's definitely not that they're just races. Criticisms of Hasan are relevant and worth discussing in the context of the Palestinian genocide. Criticism of Israel and denunciation of Israel's supporters is anti-Semitism. This is the clip going around where Sam scolds him like a child for it. The deliberate misrepresentation of a hand-picked Hasan clip, Zionists shouldn't even be dog catchers, deserves an explanation from Sam. Hamas knew in advance that Israel will slaughter an unlimited amount of children, women, and men in response to the October 7th attack. More Palestinians would be alive if they had just built more bomb shelters. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Hamas could have ended the war anytime by releasing all the hostages. This is not only a fucking insane thing to say, but it's just like, it's so wrong. It's just like, dude, I'm going to show you something, okay? Are you ready for this? I want to show you how fucking stupid this is. Hamas release hostages to end war, okay? Let's see. Let's go to the news tab. Open the freeing all hostages for 5-year truce in Gaza. Hamas says ready to release all remaining hostages for an end to the Gaza war 2 weeks ago. Hamas sets conditions to free hostages and ends war. 4 days ago, 5-year Gaza ceasefire deal not yet conveyed to Israel, source tells Post. And this is just from 1 week, okay? This is just 1 week. How do I change the fucking, is it tools? Sorted by date. Okay, hold on. Let's do past year. All right, can I do that? Sorted by date, sorted by relevance. Add before. Oh, this is how you do it? Okay. Hamas. No hostage for prisoner swap deal with Israel unless Gaza war ends. December 5th, Israeli official. Egypt has proposed hostage deal with extended truce not to end the war. Egypt proposes 2-day ceasefire in Israel, Hamas war with the release of 4 hostages. U.S. to start immediately fresh push for Gaza ceasefire. Hamas waiting for U.S. pressure on Israel to end war. Close hostage deal. Here's a non-exhaustive timeline. Israel-Hamas ceasefire talks, a timeline of obstruction. Hold on. Oh, this is starting from the top. Okay. November 22nd, after more than 6 weeks of fighting, a brief breakthrough is achieved. But even before then, I think it was 3 days after, October 7, Hamas came out with a statement saying, we will release all hostages if Israel stops its bombing campaign. 3 days after, okay? Or 2 days after, October 9th, 2023. Okay? That's when it started. They aren't going to trust that because it's Al Jazeera? Yeah, that's why I was going to fucking show. First of all, that's insanely racist. What the fuck? But even then, it doesn't matter. You know who else was covering that? Times of Israel. So if you only trust Times of Israel, they wrote about it plenty. Hamas says it will release all civilian hostages if IDF stops strikes. NBC. And the Jerusalem Post. This is from October 17th, 2023. Yeah, I guess that's the Jerusalem Post, which is also funded by Hamas. Al Jazeera is a credible outlet, by the way, especially when it comes to this issue. It's the most credible outlet, as a matter of fact. Ethan Klein canceled his member stream today saying he's sick. He's just likely spent his day preparing for tomorrow. And if he's insufficiently confident, he will cancel tomorrow's show. No doubt, by the way, let's go back to 26th of April, 2024. No doubt, Netanyahu preventing hostage deal, charges ex-spokesman of Families Forum. In the same time frame, members of the Netanyahu war cabinet, including but not limited to Itamar Ben-Gvir, have literally attacked the families of the hostage members, saying that they were being a hurdle to their goals in the war. And as recently as yesterday, Benjamin Netanyahu has stated that they care more about finishing the job, whatever that might be. I think we know what that is, as opposed to releasing the hostages. He is Barak Ravid, global affairs correspondent for Axios. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said in a speech on Thursday that the defeat of Hamas is more important than the release of the 59 remaining hostages. Releasing the hostages is a very important objective, but we have a supreme objective in this war: victory over our enemies. Oh, wow. Look at the date on that. May 1st, 2025. The idea that Ethan were to even say Hamas could have ended the war at any time by releasing the hostages is so fucking stupid. And it's like, it's one of those things that's so stupid that immediately, as soon as those words come out of your mouth, everyone that is even remotely knowledgeable on the issue or has any semblance of critical thinking skills should go, oh, this is not a trustworthy source for this. He simply is too stupid to know the truth. That's it. You don't have to be like, oh, he's getting paid by Mossad or whatever. He's getting paid by the Israeli state. Like, I don't believe in any of that. I think he's just a fucking stupid guy who's floundering around and trying to defend his position that he is uniquely crafted, that gives him no allegiances, as a matter of fact, because all of the like Eyal Yacobis and the fucking Hen Mazigs of the world despise him because he sometimes accidentally will say Israel is maybe doing a genocide, and they fucking hate that shit. So he can't even get play from the fucking Zionist Hasbara guys. But also simultaneously, he's understandably getting a lot of flack from every fucking pro-Palestinian voice because he just simply cannot let this go. He wants to be recognized as a pro-Palestinian figure while simultaneously using all of the available time he has online in front of a fucking camera to cry about pro-Palestinian activists being mean to him. It's ridiculous. The brutal and barbaric military actions of Israel during the Great March of Return were justified because Hamas was being violent. After October 7th, what happened to the Palestinian people was inevitable. Insane. Genocide is inevitable because, you know, Israel is, I guess, a natural disaster. It's a hurricane. It's a typhoon. It's uncontrollable. Nothing we can do about it. Okay? It's unreasonable and sick to suggest that a large portion of the Israeli people want to see Palestinian people dead. It is not unreasonable nor sick to suggest that. It's just the polling data. Yeah. This was the long effort post from my goat, Norm Finkelstein, after his debate with Bonarelli. Anyway, the things they did agree on: the U.S. should cease all military aid to Israel. Kamala was less evil than Trump. It sucks that so much violence is happening in Gaza. Sure does sound a lot like Israel apologia. You can't cover your ass from all this by saying the U.S. should cease military aid. Not good enough. Not even close. Like, good for you. You went up against the big scary boogeyman of the right, Sam Cedar. Wow, you're so brave. The trade-off was now there is this neatly packed hour-long video of Israel apologia. Not sure that's going to be worth it in the end. The bomb shelter one was so crazy. Genuinely asking, do you plan on just keeping the convo to Israel-Palestine? Do you plan to address him calling you a predator and shit? I assume you care more about the Israel convo. Yes. What do you think? Of course I'm going to only talk about the fucking Israel convo, dude. What do you... I don't give a shit. Oh, man. I can't believe the drama-obsessed former co-host of mine has called me every fucking freakish name under the sun. I don't give a fuck, okay? I don't care. And you shouldn't either. That's just all of the additional seasoning that he is fucking attached to this cause that he believes is righteous, okay? Oh, I saw this as well. This is really funny. Yeah, Ethan Klein's final boss battle. This would actually cause damage. He don't want that. Sam Cedar was nice. Norm would run out of patience and ask him why a scholar should have to treat a little internet clown as a serious interlocutor. Yeah. Elon Pape would brick his brain. I've thought about having like Ofer Kasif on after to do analysis, because I think that would also brick his brain, because Ofer Kasif is literally Israeli and he's a Jew and he is also a member of the Knesset, so and an anti-Zionist, so that would be like the trifecta. But it doesn't matter. Like the reason why I thought it would be valuable for Ethan to talk to Sam is because I thought he'd be charitable and understand where Sam was coming from, right? I thought I thought he would be understanding of where Sam Cedar's coming from and be more amenable to his position, be more open to persuasion. Okay, I was wrong. He foolishly thought that he could use it as an opportunity to like grab clips that he could use against me, which was so silly. He thought that this person was actually going to agree with him and not with me, and he doesn't know the full scope of my perspective. And that if he just showed only a couple, if he showed him the right clips, like he is some fucking random dullard, okay? If only Sam Cedar, if only you see the right clips of Hasan that I've just mysteriously snipped at the 13-second mark, this dude that you've known for almost a fucking decade, you will actually, this dude that you've talked to about Israel-Palestine, both publicly and privately, then you'll see what I see. Like, he's not one of your fucking foot soldiers, dumbass. Yeah, you can get a lot of motion off of people that get their political notes from the likes of fucking Willie Slop Show or other Keemstar orbiters that, you know, in the free time that they have when they're not saying the N-word or saying slurs in general or advocating for why they should be saying slurs, they make these fucking drama videos that are summarizations of Redditors' fantasies. If people are getting their notes from those guys, yes, they are probably easily manipulated and will look to whatever you have to say and go, well, this guy's Jewish. He knows what he's talking about, I think. I don't fucking know. This is some guy, scary name, don't like him. A lot of people hate him. I'm going to hate him too. You know, that is your audience. You're not going to be able to fucking manipulate someone like Sam Cedar with clips. Please watch this. What is this?
About it. Although I don't think he's going to disagree with what I'm saying. Otherwise, he'd probably be a Hamas supporter, because that's basically all I'm saying. I'm saying, let's not slaughter civilians. And I doubt Hasan's going to disagree with that.
Yeah, I don't. So what the fuck is this? I don't. Also, what a crazy way to frame this conversation. You support Hamas. I don't get why people hate you is like aggressive, but it's generally so hard to get into this community without people calling you stupid, Lamau. What do you mean? Like, we call you stupid? Is asking questions wrong here? I thought it was fairly entry level, but it seems kind of like it's not. And chat wants to assume everyone is stupid or bad faith. No. If you have a genuine question and you ask it politely, of course, I will respond to you in kind. Chatters will respond to you with resources. There are, however, a lot of people that come in here to be like, why do you love doing terrorism and sucking Hasan Nasrallah's penis? Genuinely curious. If someone comes in with that fucking energy, yeah, we're going to call them stupid. I did, but they aren't. Lol. What is the question that you asked? Here, I'll answer it. I was being genuine, talking specifically about October 7. No, I mean, people thinking you are supporting terrorism. I think you have a micro-analyzing it every day like you are. I guess I'm specifically talking about October 7. How does it help the country itself? I thought you were saying like it's unfortunate, but it's cause and effect, which makes sense. / yes, Jen, I'm being serious, not pretending to be stupid on purpose. Chat, not all of us have politics special interests, and I'm a chatter who knows everything that's going on here. I'm talking specifically about October 7, like how would it help Palestine? Wait, what? I'm not saying October 7 helped Palestine. What? No, we're far past that point regardless. That's not what I've not said that. I don't believe that. Read the message you sent at 16. So Hamas fighting back is inevitable, but it's terrorism because innocent people. I can kind of see how that would be misunderstood, because saying that they would fight back naturally is kind of a vague or easy to be misunderstood / Jen. No. Across the board, sometimes acts of terrorism take place. Across the board, targeting civilians for political gains would be appropriate to use in the narrow definition of terrorism, but you can't actually say, like, this is a terror cell and they need to be dealt with militarily without any sort of due process. My point is that acts of terrorism occur in violent, militant resistance against unjustifiable constructs like a military invasion or a belligerent occupier blowing up and doing a genocide and blowing up every fucking standing building. It is no different than the activities of the North Vietnamese Liberation Front in South Vietnam against like civilian populations every now and then in an effort to engage in the just and morally righteous emancipatory cause of liberating Vietnam and reuniting Vietnam, right? We only have this understanding after things like that happen, and then the militant resistance actually achieves results. Same with the FLN. Same with the actions of the FLN. Same with the actions of the IRA. FLN in Algeria, IRA in Ireland. They've engaged in acts that could be considered acts of terror. Okay? Targeting oftentimes military, but civilians as well in the process. Sometimes even directly targeting civilian positions or directly targeting infrastructure. Having said that, we don't actually look back at those events and go, well, these were acts of terror. It's really fucked up. We actually look at how fucked up the larger picture was. The very fact that that became a necessity, the very fact that that violence became a necessity through the systematic cruelty enforced by states, whether they be a settler colonial enterprise like Israel that has an exterminationist policy, or whether it be a military invasion, like in the case of Vietnam, or a permanent occupation, also settler colonial, and it's in nature as the French occupation of Algeria. What? Hey, does it ever make you feel weird to realize that your entire life is predicated upon reacting to what other people think about you? What's it like under all of those layers of social performance? I'm pretty sure I can see you looking at the video preview of yourself as you dictate your thoughts, Lamau. What? This is a unique instance where I'm actually reacting to what, doing exactly what I knew you would, Law, pointing to the dissenter and conditioning your hug box for the maximum possible approval level to you. Why is it that chatters that come in here and say something get offended that I treat them like a normal interlocutor? Should I just ban you and move on? The reason why I pulled you up here was because I wanted to address what you were saying. I was trying to understand what you were saying. It's not a real gotcha. Like, I don't think you understand. Is the expectation that I just fucking do this and move on? You know? Because that's what you normally would get for this level of fucking parasocial, this level of incredibly and unhealthy parasocial obsession that you have with a content creator that you seemingly don't even enjoy the content of. I unbanned you, by the way, so you can keep chirping if you want. This is the thing that is shocking, because like sometimes chatters will come in here and say some real weird shit. I read it out loud and they go, ha ha, you activated my trap card. And it's like, okay, well, I'm taking you seriously. Should I not take you seriously? Should I just frivolously discard you? You couldn't resist pressing the button still, Law. Okay. Under normal circumstances, I don't actually react to what people's opinions of me are. The only reason why we're doing this today is because tomorrow I'm going to be debating a person who has spent the last year making erroneous, ridiculous, slanderous claims about me. But I don't know if you've noticed that, but even then I try to use that as a teachable moment where the drama is what makes people pay attention. But in that process, what are we doing? There is probably more than 1,000, if not 3,000 people in here that encountered this piece of information for the first time. The fact that Hamas has, since October 17th, 2023, that Israel cease its endless bombing campaign and that they would return all the hostages. This doesn't just directly contradict Ethan's ridiculous claims, but it also educates a lot of people. So in this process, I'm actually not only using this drama as a vehicle, but I'm also educating people on shit that they probably didn't know. This is not simply me reacting to what other people's positions of me are. You really aren't listening, though. You're acting like I'm insane to even point it out. No, I'm not acting like you're insane to even point it out. I actually did listen, and then I gave you an appropriate response. You just didn't like that appropriate response, and you don't like that there's actually there is actually something below the shallow analysis that you contributed into the chat, thinking that you were some fucking brilliant psychotherapist, psychoanalyzing a streamer that you don't know that's thousands of miles away at the behest of another streamer that will never know who the fuck you are. This is how little you care about yourself. I actually care about you a little bit more than whoever streamer that you are entertained by, that you are seemingly fighting a battle for. I at least have acknowledged you as a human being, and I'm responding to the exact same thing that you actually asked of me. You just didn't like that response, and that's precisely the reason why you're turning around and now trying to fucking hold on to any other thing to make yourself seem like you're Light Yagami. You know, ooh, I got the Death Note music playing in the background. I'm actually brilliant. This is one of the very few spaces online where you could just simply follow for 10 minutes and then chirp away. And instead of being appreciative of that, instead of being appreciative of the fact that I'm treating you like a fucking full-blown human being and not just some numbers and some letters that are passing by my screen, should actually cause you to second guess the initial resentment that you felt. But instead of second guessing yourself and the previous considerations that you afforded to me, you continue doubling down and tripling down. One must ask the question, why? Look at all the invented backstories of for me in the chat. What do you mean? Not a single reaction from here and anyone. Now you're replying to the chat, even though you're having a conversation with me directly. Is it because you realize that I already fucking gave you an answer and you didn't like that? So now you have to present yourself as a victim? You're the one who fucking chirped. No one writes something in the chat with the expectation that the streamer is not going to hear. I gave you exactly what you wanted to get out of this. I responded to you. I treated you like a fucking human being. And now you've moved on and are now complaining about what the chat is saying about you. Of course, if you were to go into a room with 32,558 people and then fart in a crowd and start shitting your pants and start crying belligerently, causing me to stop talking and pay attention to you, the people around you would go, dude, you fucking stink. Are you okay? But what your failure here was that you immediately resorted to chat is being mean to me. Why is chat being mean to me? You should have started by going, I was just pretending to be stupid to get your attention. I was just trolling, which I suspect you will eventually back down to and say, huh, triggered much? Let's see if he did say that. I'm going to delay, bro. I wrote that before you reopened the window. What was incorrect about the point I made? I don't think you can hear the things that I'm saying, so I don't know what the purpose of this is. I already explained to you that, no, I am using this opportunity. I'm about to have a debate with the person that has been serially harassing me for the past year, smearing me, calling me anti-Semitic, and also simultaneously trying to get me deplatformed. I'm about to have a conversation with him, a person that I had a podcast with for 2 fucking years, a podcast that was literally me trying to educate him on political subject matters. And the process of that quote-unquote drama, because there's a lot of people that are in here to try to understand what this drama is really about. I'm trying to educate people on things that they probably didn't know about this process, while also simultaneously going over point by point all of the false information that was presented in the previous conversation that Ethan had with Sam Cedar. A conversation that he had with Sam Cedar that he thought was going to go about very differently than it actually did. A conversation that he thought he could use maliciously against me on Friday because he foolishly thought that Sam Cedar and him would agree on a lot of things. He tried to present himself as pro-Palestinian and simply a victim of anti-Semitic smears that claimed that he wasn't actually pro-Palestinian only because he was Jewish. But Sam Cedar very quickly dissected a lot of the pro-Israeli positions that he presented in the conversation, and that disagreement fell apart, or that supposed agreement that was going to take place fell apart very quickly, and now he can't use that tomorrow. But once again, I'm using that drama, as I always do, to explain certain things, to target misinformation. I'm completely fine. Y'all aren't going to convince me. The difference is that I'm not bothered by the perception of all the chatters. You are. That's what I'm pointing out. Yeah, okay. That's why you chose to use the limited time frame that you had to make note of how the chatters were actually making fun of you. That's what people do. I like that you actually ended up arriving at the position that I said you were going to, which is, oh, I was just pretending. I'm not bothered. I was just pretending to be bothered. That's why I brought up the chatter's response to me. I completely accomplished my goal. He's doing it. He's doing it. I completely accomplished my goal. I broke you out of your routine and you actually thought about what I said. I don't think he understands. I clocked you from the first statement and you are literally unironically using more words than you normally would, than this exact type of troll normally would, to be like, triggered much? I've actually destroyed you in the marketplace of ideas by behaving like a fucking moron. Remember the power dynamic here. I do not know who you are. I will never think about you ever again after this moment is over. You, on the other hand, think about me all the fucking time, it seems. So much so that you came into this community and tried to do like the shittiest psychoanalysis of all time, was ridiculed thoroughly in front of 32,000 people, and now are going, I was just saying these things so that you could ridicule me. You're giving me an audience of 30,000 people right now, Lamau. I don't have to be important. You're making the case because you can't help but react. Yes, I am. Once again, I don't think you understand. If it was shitty, you wouldn't have to spend this much time on it. Are you kidding me? There are people in here that say the dumbest shit, and I still pulled them up here. What are you talking about? Anyway, I'm going to go back to not knowing who you are and not caring about what your opinion is right now. Good luck. If you stick around, you might accidentally learn a thing or two, by the way.